Hi, my name is Holly Munro and I'm going to present to you about Meares-Irlen syndrome. Imagine this is what you saw every time you read a text. You saw rivers in words, you saw them going wavy, you've seen them go shaky. Well, welcome to a life with Meares-Irlen syndrome. Meares-Irlen syndrome is a visual perceptual disorder causing visual stress. So Meares-Irlen syndrome is also known as a scoptic sensitivity syndrome. So what does this all mean? A visual stress disorder can be described as the inability to see comfortably without distortion. And as you can see from these texts, there's a lot of distortion going on. However, it is important to note that Meares-Irlen syndrome is not an optical problem. In order to interpret visuals and text, light needs to be processed. So light triggers the photoreceptor cells in the retina to send a neural impulse to the brain so that the brain can interpret what the eye can see. So an individual diagnosed with Meares-Irlen syndrome is unable to efficiently process the light frequencies to interpret visuals. As you can see from this diagram, we've got the light coming onto an object. The eye is able to pick up what this object is doing, but when the brain is trying to interpret what's going on, it's getting really distorted and the brain can't work out what's going on. So visual stress disorders affect reading in 5 to 12% of the general population and 31 to 36% of children with reading disorders such as dyslexia. So like we saw at the beginning, individuals diagnosed with a visual disorder like Meares-Irlen syndrome can experience blurriness, movement of letters and words, letter reversals, shimmer, glare, eye strains or headaches, causing great discomfort to the individual, of course. So these symptoms cause discomfort under various lighting conditions, difficulty with print resolution, poor attention span, poor depth perception, and difficulty in sustained reading colour, shape or movement illusions. Visual stress disorders affect reading in 5 to 12% of the general population and 31 to 36% of children with reading disorders such as dyslexia. So like we saw at the beginning, dyslexia is diagnosed with a visual disorder like Meares-Irlen syndrome, can experience blurriness, poor attention spans, poor depth perception, movement of letters and words, letter reversals, shimmer, glare, eye strains or headaches, causing great discomfort to the individual. Visual stress disorders affect reading in 5 to 12% of the general population and 31 to 36% of children with reading disorders such as dyslexia. So like we saw at the beginning, dyslexia is diagnosed with a visual disorder like Meares-Irlen syndrome, can experience blurriness, poor attention spans, poor depth perception, movement of letters and words, letter reversals, shimmer, glare, eye strains or headaches, causing great discomfort to the individual. So what is the main cause of Meares-Irlen syndrome? Meares-Irlen syndrome is a genetic trait of the brain's inability to process visual information. There is an 80% chance of a parent passing on the Meares-Irlen syndrome gene to their child. And in addition, if one child has Meares-Irlen syndrome, there is a 50 to 70% chance of another child in the same family having Meares-Irlen syndrome too. Some of you may be wondering, well, I've never heard of this before, and what's the background to this syndrome? Isn't it all reputable? The Meares-Irlen syndrome was discovered in the 1980s by teacher Olive Meares from New Zealand and research and psychologist Helen Irlen. Helen Irlen is now featured up on the screen. So in 1983, Ms. Irlen founded the Irlen Institute that now treats over 47 countries. Ms. Irlen's initial discovery of scoptic sensitivity syndrome, and with a grant from the California State University, Ms. Irlen continued her research to find that readers seem to struggle to read after periods of 10 minutes or more. While poor reading skills would once be labelled as an individual with dyslexia, the Meares-Irlen syndrome focused on the eye's ability to interpret light frequencies. The theory of coloured overlays and filters was realised when a patient placed a red overlay over the printed text and was astonished to find that the words no longer moved when she read. Meares-Irlen continued to experiment with different patients and different colours to create a colour spectrum test to assist reading skills. Class observations and records from class assessments can offer early detection if students are frequently showing signs of Meares-Irlen syndrome. Signs to look for in a student may be one or more of the following. So the child moves their head closer to the page. The child uses a finger or ruler to keep track of their reading. The child is not focused and appears to be restless or fatigued. The child may frequently blink, rub their eyes, or look away from the page while reading. The child misreads common words. The child demonstrates poor spelling and comprehension, and the child reads at a slower rate for their age. From the signs the student has shown, an Irlen diagnostician can conduct an extensive analysis and commence treatment for Meares-Irlen syndrome. I'll be showing you a video of Helen Irlen conducting one of those extensive analyses.
For Helen Irlen, the solution came while spending years researching bright adults struggling with reading. She discovered that her clients experienced a vast improvement in their ability to read when a certain color was used over the printed page as a colored overlay or worn as glasses. Helen Irlen found that if the color of the background was changed for some people, the page of swirling letters and words suddenly appeared the way they were meant to appear.
E-O-R-C.
Good job. Was it different?
Yes.
How is it different?
Nothing's happening anymore. After,
Wait a second. Tell me how it looks.
it looks clear.
Is it doubled?
No. I can imagine the things they're saying about me back home now. And Peter has had all the gall to talk about me in disgrace.
What happens with color and the use of color, either when they wear the color as glasses or when we use a colored overlay or transparency that we place directly over the page, is that it normalizes the brain's ability to process visual information.
As the video showed, individuals diagnosed with Meares-Irlen syndrome are issued specific coloured overlays or coloured filters tailored to the individual's visual needs. Some optometrists issue colour-filtered lenses, but it's highly recommended by the Irlen's Institute to be assessed by an Irlen's diagnostician, as optometrists do not provide a thorough diagnostic process for colour selection, nor have the range of colours. And poor colour selection can result in further eye strain, headaches, distortions, and continuing reading problems. We're showing you a video of some of the testimonies of young children that have experienced the wonders of having coloured overlays or coloured filters.
And my eyes hurted, and then it gave me a headache.
We saw a drastic change in her personality. She was a very depressed child, and she had gone to see a psychologist who said she was severely depressed and advised us to take a 1-year leave of school.
The words will look like they are they are dancing, and they are like worms, and they will move around. The teacher would give us a time limit, and I wouldn't be able to finish it in that time limit. I felt left out, or I didn't fit in. The feeling of that, annoying, really annoying, and it makes me really upset.
You can only imagine what it does to a child's self-esteem. And she was asking me, what's wrong with me? Why am I not normal? Why is it all my friends can do it and I can't do it?
When I tried the lenses on, it felt much better. My brain didn't hurt when I read the book, and my eyes didn't feel confused or anything.
When I got the lens, I was happy because I can read the books better.
After I got the lenses, I just felt like I wanted to read and write and do everything.
Meares-Irlen syndrome can affect a child's intellectual, physical, social and emotional development. Outlined are brief descriptions of the developmental difficulties for children at school with Meares-Irlen syndrome. Physical. Children may find it difficult to participate in sports and games due to poor depth perception, clumsiness, and limited hand-eye coordination. Children with Meares-Irlen syndrome can also experience physical fatigue from visual stimuli due to eye strain and efforts to concentrate and headaches that they experience. Intellectual. Prior to their diagnosis, Meares-Irlen syndrome children are commonly behind in most learning areas and require more time to complete work. Children can also show disruptive behaviours similar to individuals with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. Liu and Watson further comment that individuals with ADHD may be misdiagnosed due to the great overlap between behaviours of Meares-Irlen syndrome and ADHD. Social and emotional. Low self-esteem can be common in students with learning difficulties, such as Meares-Irlen syndrome, like we heard on the videos. Children may compare themselves to their peers and question, why am I not able to read and be as smart as others? Low self-esteem can be noticed by many signs, a few being a child's lack of participation, particularly if reading is involved, lack of confidence to try new learning experiences, or lack of drive to be at school. As mentioned, children with Meares-Irlen syndrome are normally behind in their level of reading, limiting their ability to be functional literate citizens in society. Therefore, it is essential that children with Meares-Irlen syndrome are provided additional tailored support in the classroom for both educational and social emotional purposes. Work in conjunction with the child, parents, teacher aides, learning support teachers, the classroom teacher, principal, and Irlen diagnosticians, an individual education plan, or IEP, may be constructed to provide specific learning goals and strategies for the child's learning. With consistent parent communication and collaboration with the school IEP support team, students' needs can be met and assessed to make appropriate changes if needed. Randall, Irlen, and Crabtree outline various approaches that would assist a child's educational well-being in the classroom environment and would be included in an IEP. Strategies for the classroom include reducing excessive lighting. Excessive fluorescent lights and reflections of direct sunlight can interfere with a child's ability to interpret light. So turn off some fluorescent lights and use blinds and curtains to reduce direct sunlight. Arrange seating so that the child is close to indirect natural sunlight and offer the child an opportunity to choose where they might find it most comfortable to sit. Ensure the child is seated with any lights directly above them, not behind them, not slightly in front of them or to the side. Allow children to wear broad-brimmed hats or visors indoors to minimise glare. They may also choose to wear sunglasses over the top of their Irlen filters as well. So print handouts on coloured paper suitable for the child to read. White paper with black print has too much pattern glare and won't work for some students. So when using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, change the white background to a colour that suits the child's needs, and I've chosen a pale yellow up here on the board. Encourage the child to use tracking tools for reading and writing. Be aware that the child may need additional time to complete work, like a child mentioned in the video earlier. Meares-Irlen syndrome individuals can have poor memory retention, so encourage the child to use a diary and list to help them remember tasks and routine. Teach with repetition. Review concepts and explain concepts in different ways, and I know that we all do that here. So text should be placed directly in front of the child for them to focus. Provide copies of text to avoid sharing text. Ensure during tests, particularly reading tests, that the child uses their Irlen filters or overlays. I know that we all here believe that all children, with or without visual perceptual disorders, need a supportive, safe learning environment to nurture and encourage development, particularly their social and emotional needs. Prior to children being diagnosed with Meares-Irlen syndrome, it is common for individuals to feel anxious or frustrated about their learning, in particular reading text. So while educational confidence can gradually be restored with the help of Irlen filters, Children may still show low self-esteem behaviours due to low levels of learning, or wearing different glasses, or using coloured overlays. To ensure educational and social emotional confidence is restored, teachers must encourage the child to use the Irlen filters or overlays, and to help children understand that we all learn and like to learn differently. In conclusion, while the Irlen Institute does not claim to cure learning and reading problems, children diagnosed with Meares-Irlen syndrome are now learning to read and learn again through their own individual colour. As Meares-Irlen syndrome is becoming more commonly recognised in educational realms, so too should our awareness of student learning needs and disorders be encouraged. It is with awareness and adequate training that we can support and accommodate students in our classrooms. Whether we learn with colour or not, our students deserve an accepting, safe learning environment to inspire learning for all needs and abilities.